Hello and welcome to Universus. Today we're talking pre-release, but I don't want to talk about the best character for you to play at pre-release for Swiss. I want to talk about the best character you can pull for a boss battle pre-release. This is something that a lot of people are pushing. I'm pushing myself, and I know other content creators have already had chance to do a pre-release boss battle. I'm very excited for to do at locals. So we have 20 characters within Critical Role, and some of them are very good assets, some of them are not in taking down bosses. Now we won't be taking into account the Laughing Hand here because any any DM that says the Laughing Hand is a great one to play against a pre-release deck is just trolling you. I think in the content creator ones we did at Worlds, the Laughing Hand was completely written off for people doing the pre-release aspect because a mill intensive character against 40 card decks seems very mean. Let's start off with what is a boss battle kind of pre-release. This is where you'll get your pre-release kits, you'll get your 6 packs, you'll get your Stinging Blade promo, and you'll choose from the 6 characters within your packs, build a deck around them, and team up with, say, 3 other people from your pre-release to battle the boss of the box. This could be any of the 6 bosses. They range in level of difficulty, Laughing Hand being the most difficult for pre-release, Kevdak being the most difficult for constructed and regular play, and the Manticore kind of being the entry level, but still quite difficult to take on. Because you're not playing against each other and you have to work with the other people in your party, then I would say that you're kind of looking at a utility kind of party build. Now, when playing against the Briarwoods at Worlds, the Australians did have a mentality of just punch it till it's dead, but this can lead to some party members getting wiped out. This can lead to awkward situations where you're not quite able to just get enough damage through, and if the right abilities are activated, you can just get wiped out. Let's look at each character and rate how good they are and whether you should be playing them at the pre-release. So starting off with Alora Vosen, Arcanist of Taldore, a 6-hand 28 health character. Symbols don't matter in pre-release, so we don't have to worry about that. With Enhance, twice per turn, remove 1 action from your card pool, add the top card of your deck's momentum, and commit 1 foundation. After an attack is played, seal it, and your next check to play a card gets +3. This is interesting because you can kind of secure your block against a boss because you can commit 1 foundation. You can secure your next attack's going to get through if it gets right around to your turn. But you cannot reliably get enough actions to make that top enhance very viable. If you do get enough actions, if you have an action-heavy pool of cards from your seal packets, Allura is a great choice because getting momentum can fuel powerful abilities and bosses aren't really blocking. Yes, if you can't get your attack above their agility number, it's considered partially blocked, but your attacks are always dealing damage. So cards that have powerful, that have echo are going to be very good. And utilizing that momentum is very powerful for keeping yourself alive, as well as dealing additional damage to take out your opponent. Momentum can be the difference between a win and a loss because you're able to boost your attack above the agility with EX, or able to get that a little bit extra damage in with powerful. I would say it's very mid-tier, not terrible, depending on your card pool, but Allura would not be one of the ones I was looking at if I was playing against the bosses at pre-release. But we got a lineup, however: Expositor, Brawler, Mighty 9 Spy, 6-hand size, 29 health, and once per turn, your turn, discard 1 attack, check a 6, add the top 2 cards of your deck to your card pool, face down as mid attacks for 3 speed, 3 damage, and the kick, punch, and slam keywords, and add them to the attack stack. Now, if this works the same as multiple did in the boss battles, this just allows you to resolve essentially 3 attacks before the next activation. So if you're at the end of the line or before your next teammate takes back, you get to do these 3 attacks. This is a high risk, high reward strategy, but you can pump up that damage because you can commit 1 foundation, and then your kick, punch, or slam gets 1 damage for each attack in your card pool. So if you launch this as your first attack, everything's getting 3 damage, which means you can hit for, say, 18. When if you've got a 4-player game and you start off with, say, 100 health, taking a fifth of their health off them in a single turn is huge, especially when it doesn't result in any kind of retaliation. But you are adding to your progressive. And you've got to remember that at the end of every single round of cards or forms, you will be have an activation or retaliation against you. And then when you end your turn, you'll get another activation against you. If you want to know more about how boss battles go down, I have done a video of how boss battles work. So do check that out. But it's a very high risk, high reward. Taking a fifth of a boss's health off them is huge, but you are leaving yourself vulnerable with no kind of defense. So if you can pump those attacks damage, if you can make it a successful point of diminishing return, Beauregard Liner is definitely one I would recommend playing. Caduceus Clay, Insightful Caretaker, is a bit slower. 5 hand size, 34 health. Enhance commit, choose a player. That player gains 2 health, and each of their backups gain 2 stamina. And enhance, once per turn tenacious, this attack gets plus X damage or minus X speed. X equals the number of backups in your stage, plus 2. If it's 4 or greater, draw a card. So again, more like Allura, if you don't have backups to trigger that bottom ability to draw cards or get the plus damage or minus speed, you're in a little bit of trouble. And I believe there's only 6 backups in the set, so it's a little bit more scary. But this is one I would say to keep an eye on, because being able to heal one of your players for 4 health once per turn, because it's a commit, is very powerful. Being able to keep your aggro player alive, keep your support alive. 4 health is not a small amount. So I would definitely say this is a very cool card and very keen to see how this goes. Caleb Widogast, a 6 hand, 29 health mage, my 9, who can discard 1 spell and add 1 spell to the hand of the same difficulty once per turn. Very powerful. So kind of work with your party if you're going to be building, if you're going to keep attacking, as well as pick up the perfect blocks for these attacks coming from the bosses. And every time you play an action, you get to burn the bosses for 1, on top of like stun abilities that will have the same kind of effect. Being limited to 3 times with this is very unfortunate, given how long turns actually take within the boss battles. But I like Caleb for boss battles. I just don't know how viable he'll be. There's not a lot of actions that he can kind of utilize properly. It's not like Constructed where he can get a lot of control aspects. He hasn't got combined firepower, he hasn't got Genkais, but he has got a lot more spells because it's a very limited pool. So that first enhance gets a lot stronger, and if you can pull some actions, he could be very good. The main issue I see is if you just get a very limited action card pool, you're kind of sitting, waiting to pull off those responses. But because of how many spells are actually in this set, I think Caleb could be quite powerful as a tutor to go get a powerful spell, go get a kill card, a defensive card. He could be very strong. Esic Phalos, Expert Dunamancer, Mage. Response once per turn, remove 1 action from your discard pile. After a player makes a check, they recheck. And commit, your spell attack gains Echo. 19 health with no real defense against the bosses. This is a bad card to pick. Yes, you can allow an ally to recheck and get an attack through, or recheck a block and be able to get that block through, but it does nothing against the bosses. Giving your spell attack Echo is very cool, but he is just so soft, so squishy, and characters like the Manticore and the Briarwoods and Kevdak are just going to run over that 19 health when he has no offensive or defensive capabilities on face that are truly impactful. I love Esic, and I think he's going to be very good in Standard once someone cracks him. but in the boss battles, not a chance. I don't. If you're playing E-Sig in the boss battles, it's either you're playing constructed or you literally pulled 6 E-Sigs. Ford C Champion, 6 hand size, 28 health, Champion 99 pack bound. With Enhanced Commit, you may play one Spellbolt card from your discard as the next card you play this turn, and response tenacious. After your spell or weapon attack deals damage, seal 1 rival foundation, your next attack gets 2 damage. Our rival has no foundations to seal because they're a boss, but progressive damage increases is very good. And then you also got that commit ability for defensive, offensive abilities, similar to Caleb, being able to just play a card from your discard. Again, with how long turns go, with how limited the sealed format is, but you need to see a spell bolt. And yes, there are a fair few, but the set is still quite large for only 6 packs. You may not actually see a spell bolt, and you're just kind of more looking at that, trying to get 2 damage on your next. There are lots of spells, there are lots of weapons, but they're not all in the set. There are still punches, kicks, slams, ranged. There's a lot of attacks that, unfortunately, are just blank. But luckily, early game, if you can get a spell or a spell bolt going early and then got my weapon attack gets 2 and then build out, you can pump a little bit. But if I had a choice between Ford or the next character, I'd probably go with Grog Strongjaw. Grog Strongjaw, Mighty Half Giant, Brawler Brute Vox Machina with a static ability, so active even if committed. If an attack deals damage, add 1 rage counter to Grog. Response: before you take damage from an unblocked attack, reduce that damage by 2. And enhance: remove 1 rage counter from this character, draw a card, and your attack gets 3 damage. Grog is a must-have. If you pull Grog in your party, one of your players should be running Grog. The fact that he makes all of the boss's attacks 2 less damage unblocked is great. It keeps Grog alive, and if you can utilize that with heals from, say, Caduceus or other characters, even Healing Spell, Grog is a menace. And then the fact that he just gets to keep drawing cards, keeps digging for aggro is huge. And the fact that when Grog hits the boss, when you hit the boss, or when the boss hits one of you, he gets a counter, just lets him keep ticking up. If he can get some counter utility, especially with things like his SR, Grog becomes a proper menace to deal with. Jester Lavaux, Traveler's Faithful, Sapphire of the Ruby Coast, Healer, main, enhanced, twice a turn, add the top card of your deck, add the top card of your discard pile to your hand, discard 1 card at random. If you discard a copy of the same card, this attack gets +2 master speed, and after your spell the attack deals damage, gain 1 health and ready 1 foundation that's not been readied. Now, Jester's first enhance might as well be blank for the speed and damage, or for the speed buffs or negation, because in sealed, the chances of you having multiples of cards is very slim. In draft, however, if you can draft multiples of the same card, you're going to be picking up a lot more, and you're not limited to that 4 limit that we have in constructed. Jester gets a lot stronger. But for sealed play, when you're just opening 6 packs, you may end up with a few copies, but you're not going to end up with a play set. It's going to be a lot harder to pop off that +2 -2 speed, but you will be able to kind of essentially just pick up whatever you need and then have a 1 in 6 chance of discarding it back into the discard and getting that +2 -2, but it's not consistent enough. The amount of spell attacks that are in the set, you can gain a lot of health, but not having that defense on face and seeing how tough these bosses are now, this 7 hand size character with no real defense on face could be an issue and could get squished quite easily. But if you got the right pie structure, possibly could be kept alive. It's hard to say. If you get lucky enough to get the -2 speed, you will be able to block the attacks from the bosses. But to me, Jester just isn't there. I don't think Jester is powerful enough to get there. Caliph, 7 hand size, 21 health, Vox Machina Warden. First of all, commit 1 foundation on flip a foundation. Enhance was ready foundation with printed difficulty 1 or less. And after attack deals damage, your rival flips 1 foundation. So that response is blank. Our rival has no foundations. So Keyleth of the Arishari does not get to flip anything. Being able to ready a foundation with one or less and on flip foundations is very cool. There's a lot of flip cost cards in the set that have good utility, that have some very good abilities to keep yourself alive, to hack checks, to give damage, and then just be able to ready up a foundation once per turn. So when the bosses are attacking and when you're being attacked, very, very cool. Not the most powerful, and can't really utilize a team-based play, but would definitely be up there in one I would consider if there was always some strong aggression and support already there. This is a good kind of mid-tier character. Lady Kima, however, although you are going down a form and basically taking an activation through that first form by adding a card from your discard pile to your card pool, increasing your checks, however, very powerful. Means you can go later into the game, means that you can block the retaliations. And the enhance, your non-throw attack gets plus X damage. X equals half the printed difficulty of the preceding attack in your card pool rounded up. So if you can get a 6 difficulty attack in your card pool, your next attack is, if you play it on a 5 or a 6, is going to be coming in with plus 3 damage from that enhance. And then if you can look at just utilizing that plus check, so if you play a 6 diff through the form, then take your first retaliation, it's fine. Drop in the 5 diff attack with plus 1 to your check, so it's on a 6. You check the 6, you go, cool, now I get 3 damage, and my next one's going to get 3 damage. Very, very powerful. That 36 health is very strong. When you're looking at boss battles, the hand sizes, the lower you go, doesn't really impact that much. You start off with 3 foundations. You usually only build 3 on the first turn anyway. So having that 5 hand size is not as much of a detriment, but having that increased health total is huge. Lady Kima is a solid, aggressive character, and if you've seen through the gameplay that we did for the pre-release, Tim Keefe was able to utilize Lady Kima's abilities very well, keep himself alive, act as a kind of tank blocking for other players as well, because that plus 1 to your check was able to deal with retaliations and activations as well. Mollymock, Tea Leaf, Carve Hooligan, Entertainer, Mighty Knight, Occultist, Tenacious, lose 1 health as an enhance for your weapon attack, gets plus 1 damage and gains stun 1. There are a lot of weapons in the set, but there's a lot more spells. So if you do have a weapon-heavy pool of cards, I would recommend playing Mollymock. And response, reveal 2 cards from your hand. After an attack is played, seal 1 Rival Foundation. The response is blank. They've got nothing to sacrifice, they've got no foundation to seal. So what you'd be looking at here is losing 1 health to get your weapon 1 additional damage, which allows it to do more damage, and gain stun 1, which will allow you to burn the bosses for additional damage. You're looking at essentially lose 1 life for plus 2 damage to your attack. That's very powerful, very cool. And being a 28 health 6-hander, it allows Mollymock to have a lot more strength behind them. I think, again, similar to Lady Kima and other characters, I would definitely say this is an aggressive character I'd be running if the support roles had already been filled. And I'll get onto why the supports are quite important as we get further down the list. Not the Brave Chaotic Meddler, 7 hand size, 21 health. Beef of the Mighty Nine. Enhance your rival mills 2. If they mill the card of the same type, the seal and rival foundation. Blank enhance. Enhance your attack gets plus X speed, X equals your momentum plus 1. Very powerful. And response commit, spend momentum after you block an attack, it deals no damage. So, half blocking and keeping yourself alive with that commit and spending momentum. Very, very cool. Enhance your attack gets plus X speed, X equals your momentum. Very powerful, but unless you can cheat momentum in, you're looking at a kind of blank enhance for a very long time. By the time you get enough momentum for it to really matter, it's kind of already past it. Because this is your attack, not this attack, you're only looking at benefiting yourself, which can be a big issue. I don't think Not's the best thing to play. Getting that plus speed is very good. It can help get your attacks above the agility threshold, but you're not helping out the team. You don't really have that much defensive capability, and you can block and stop damage, but you're going down a momentum and your character to do it. Then we have Percival de Rollo III, Vengeful Sharpshooter, Inventor, Pact Bound, and Vox Machina. Remove one tech card from your discard pile. After you play a ranged or tech attack, it gets plus X speed, X equals the block modifier of the removed card. And lose 1 health. After you play a card, both players commit 1 foundation. So the response is blank, and being keyword locked in pre-release is very rough, especially when you keyword locked to something like tech, which doesn't have the best support, and the fact that you need to essentially be running a lot of tech and ranged cards in a set that seems to be predominantly spells. It's a tough one. Getting that speed can be very good, but I would be relying on my support for speed. I think Percy's good. I just, at 7 hand size and 20 health, with no real defense on face and a very limiting ability to boost speed, I don't think I'd be playing him at pre-release against the bosses. Pike Trickfoot, however, is one I have actually already played. Pike Trickfoot, Ferocious Priestess, Healer of the Vox Machina, enhance your turn, gain 1 health. Utilizing that health gain keeps you alive, keep you in the double digits, and making it very hard and very annoying for the bosses to take you down. And enhanced, if this attack's damage is greater than printed, it gets +2 or -2 speed. Now, unlike Percival, this says this attack. So pairing it with characters like Kima and Grog and other characters that pump up damage, you can kind of just pop off, like Bo as well. You can pop off by giving each attack +2 speed, getting it closer or above that agility line, and saying all of our attacks are going to hit you for the intended amount of damage, and you are going to go down. The gaining 1 health, keeping yourself alive, very important, but just utilizing damage bonusing characters in your party and going, okay, I'm going to boost their speed. This is a very good support character. It is a shame, unlike Caduceus, that you can't heal your allies, but during each attack you only get 1 enhance either way, so you can choose to gain health, because I do believe your turn counts everyone because it's like a collective turn. I'm happy to be corrected on that, but each attack getting +2 damage, +2 speed, is very important and can make the difference between losing a boss battle and winning a boss battle by ensuring that you get above that agility line. Pumat Sol is a very interesting one. So 6 hand size, 28 health, Inventor Mage, enhance once per turn, remove 1 foundation from your stage, build 1 asset or backup from your hand, and response, discard 1 card. After you play an attack card, choose 1. It gains EX, commit 2 round foundations, or draw 2 cards. Early game, you're just drawing cards. Once you get some momentum, the EX could be powerful, getting above the agility line. Asset and backup building from hand is very powerful. If you can get a Shikasta or a Sean Gilmore or even a Jarrett, where you can just utilize those abilities with what you've pulled into your deck building card pool, or if you can get any of the vestiges of Divergence and pop them down, Pumat Sol just kind of gets to pop off a little bit and build them during retaliations and during your turn. The commit to round foundation is kind of blank. The EX is not great early on, but has got symbols that will allow for momentum cheating. No, I can see Pumat Sol being a threat. I'd put him like above the support aspect. He's not really true support because it's your, again, it's similar to the Jester situation, the Not situation. It's your stuff, not this stuff. Oh no, Jester does, but this is kind of like not, you're only really benefiting yourself. You're not really. Scanlan Short Haul, once per turn tenacious, after you play an action, build a top card of your deck face down. Again, there's a fair few actions within the set, but you need to pull multiple in order to make it pop off. 33 health on a 5 hand size with commit, reveal top card of your deck. This attack gets +2 or -2 speed. If you reveal the non-foundation, it gets +4 or -4 speed instead. and you may add one non-attack from your discard to your hand. So be able to pick up assets, backups, actions from that aspect, but you are kind of required to run not a lot of attacks. Again, you're only a 40 card deck, and most of the time, you're running about a 42-43% attack package instead of like the usual 33%. Makes Scanlan a lot less reliable and kind of not the best on the build. I probably wouldn't play him if I had no other supports and everyone else around me was running aggressive characters. I may do it just to kind of keep people alive from those retaliation attacks. Then we have Tyrion Darrington, Knave creator, inventor of Vox Machina, enhance 1% remove X momentum, build on asset from your discard pile with a printed difficulty of X +1, X may be 0, and commit one asset. This attack gets plus X or minus X speed. X is the printed difficulty of the asset committed to pay for this action ability. If you have an asset heavy build, this is perfect. However, a lot of the good assets are in the rare to UR category, and you're kind of struggling. If you get the 0 cost asset, that's great. You've got your quest posting. What can you do with that? It can't give speed, it can't give damage, it's 0 diff. If you can get some vestiges of divergence, you can get duty, but they're all in the ultra rare category. You're not going to consistently pull them or have enough to make it worthwhile. The fact he does say this attack and the fact it's repeatable means if you can ready foundations, if you can ready assets, if you can have a lot of assets down, he's going to be very powerful. I just don't think he's right for boss battles. I don't think Tyrion can get there, but I'll be happy to be proven wrong. Now, Vax'ildan Daggermaster is possibly one of the best boss characters you can get. Thief of the 99, a 6 hand size, 29 health with enhanced. This attack gets plus X or minus X damage and speed. So it gets plus X damage and minus X speed. X equals the total number of cards in your card pool. Response: after you play your third weapon attack on the turn, you rival discards a card and draw a card. That's fine. That bottom response doesn't really have to pop off. It's that top enhance that really matters. Giving yourself and everyone in your party +1, +2, +3 damage is huge. But more importantly than that, being able to defend the retaliations by going none of the cards in my card pool count towards progressive is great. You're not going to see enhances from the bosses. You're not going to see enhances that will increase the speed. You're dealing with 4, 5 speed attacks. If you're completely ignoring progressive, it makes those attacks a lot easier to block, and you can also help your rivals. If you've got more cards in your card pool than your rival, you can then also just go, cool, you're playing with negative progressive. You can use this on all of your allies' abilities, and all your allies' attacks going against them to make it easier to block. You just go, here's -3 speed, here's -3 speed, here's -3 speed. And you go, cool, I can now block this. It's like, that's the point. Vax'ildan is a very powerful support character, and even if he isn't getting the kill himself, he is getting unlimited assists at dealing with the bosses. Vex'ahlia, however, I don't think is as good. Once you build one ally, asset, or backup from your card pool. If you did and it's your turn, draw a card. You need to see them. You need to see the right ones. If you can get a Jarrett, that's great, but that's the only one that kind of combos. There's no trinket in the main set, so you don't get to do the Build-A-Bear damage reduction. I think she's fine, and especially that response of Flip Foundation after you arrange the weapon attack is not blocked. Flip Foundations, if you can get your damage, if you can get your attack speed above the agility threshold, you just get to keep flipping and non-flipping foundations. But you need to see the weapon attack, you range your weapon attacks, you need to see the allied backups and assets. I just don't think she's good enough to pop off. If your card pool supports her and supports her abilities, but with a generic card pool, I just don't think she gets there. And lastly, Yasha, Orphan Maker. If you take 3 or more damage from an attack, add 1 rage counter. Your attack gets plus X damage. X equals half your rage counters plus 1. So all of your attacks getting plus 1. Once per game, remove 6 counters from this card. Your rival removes 2 cards from the hand. Bottom enhances blank. Taking 3 damage as a 29 health character seems decent. And that unlimited kind of damage output, especially on throws, very, very cool. I just think Grog does it better. Especially in boss battles, Yasha seems very decent for constructed, but in boss battles, I think Grog does what she's trying to do better. You're not really going to get that high in rage counters because they're not attacking as often. They can make you lose health in other ways. I think you need a very particular build and card pool for your deck to make Yasha truly pop off. But she can possibly get there. I imagine she's going to be quite powerful, quite hard to deal with. But again, it's only your attack, so you're not really getting anything there. Getting +1 damage to everything is fine. But by the time you've got to Grog's level, where you've got 5 counters on here, that means you've taken 15 damage. You're down to 14. That's not great. I think Grog does it better, but Yasha is a solid aggressive option if you haven't got anything else. But because you're battling the boss is as a team, communication with the other players is huge. Finding out what other players have, finding out what other players are planning to do, can be the difference between winning and losing. You will have players that just want to do their thing and play their game. And if you want to win, not decisively and not make it a little bit more risky, coordinate with your team, find out what they're trying to do, find out how they're planning to do it, and spend your time when you're deck building filling in the holes. I went with Pike during hours because I saw we had a Grog, I saw we had a Kima, and I was like, cool, they need speed. So I'll go Pike, get them speed, and it made a huge difference. Filling that gap, acting as a support role, may not be the most glamorous of jobs, but it will make you very much appreciated by your team. And it's absolutely great to have that. You can just go with the Aussie method of punching them in the face till they die, but you're not guaranteed to win that one, and you're not. And these bosses are getting a hell of a glow up for Critical Role Heroes of Exandria. They may not be as easy to just punch through as the Briarwoods were for the challenges last year. Communicate with your team, figure out what characters you will have access to, who's playing what, and how you're going to be playing it. And throughout the game, communicate with your opponents. You can play with your hand revealed. The bosses aren't going to be able to interact with you anyway, so you can talk about how many foundations you need to build this turn, how many attacks you can go in on. Talk with your allies, make a game plan before going in, and just have that kind of aspect of team mentality. Let me know how you guys get on with the boss battles. Which bosses are you excited to take on? Which bosses are you terrified to go up against? And what is your game plan for taking them down? But after hearing the stories, I am very scared of taking on Kevdak and the Horde. Let me know what your guys' plans are for pre-release. Are you doing Swiss? Are you doing some boss battles? And who are you excited to play at pre-release, either for Swiss? And let me know what you pull. I would absolutely love to see some of these great chromes, great all arts, or just hear people's stories about what they've pulled. Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to keep up to date with all the content we're pumping, please do subscribe, ring that bell, and follow us on other social media such as Twitter and Blue Sky to be kept up to date with everything we're doing. And I will catch you in the next one.